top story. Election dates have been announced for both Jammu, Kashmir and Haryana. Let's begin with the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Elections will take place in Jammu and Kashmir after a full decade, 10 years, viewers. This was going to be the shortest number of phases in the last 25 years where Jammu and Kashmir is concerned. 3 phases. Phase 1 will be on the September 18th. Phase 2, September 25th, and the third and final phase will be on October 1st. Counting for Jammu and Kashmir will be on the 4th of October. Well, let's hark you back. The last time elections were held in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, when it was a state, was in the year 2014. Then, this was before delimitation exercise, and there were 87 seats at that time. 2014 I'm talking about. The results were BJP stood at 25, the Congress at 12, NC at 15, PDP at 28. Others were at 7 in the elections that were taken place when Jammu and Kashmir was a state and before delimitation. Let's now get you at that point of time what was the vote share. The BJP had 23% of the vote share in 2014, Congress 18%, the NC stood at 21%, the PDP at 23%, and others stood at 15%. Now, the big question, at this juncture, where the government, especially after the abrogation of Article 370, has spoken a lot of Naya Kashmir. What makes Jammu and Kashmir election so very special? Well, first election in 10 years, like I pointed out. First election as a union territory. Because 2014, when the elections took place, Jammu and Kashmir was a full-fledged state. First election after Article 370 abrogation. First assembly election without Ladakh. First election after delimitation. Well, let's now take you what's the difference. Because viewers, now an entire delimitation exercise has taken place in Jammu and Kashmir, and earlier on there were 87 seats. This time around, if you look after delimitation, that number from 87 has gone up all the way to 90. Now, seats in Kashmir, the Kashmir Valley region earlier were 46, now 47, 1 extra. Seats in Jammu earlier at 37, now at 43, 6 extra. Now, nominated seats earlier 2, now 5. Seats in Ladakh earlier were 4 because Ladakh was a part of the state of Jammu and Kashmir, but now as union territory, it's not there. So from 87, the number of seats in Jammu and Kashmir moved to 90. After delimitation, there's been 6 of seats increase in Jammu area, Jammu region, and 1 in the Kashmir region as well. And the 4 of Ladakh, the seats which were with Ladakh, are of course taken out of that mix. So this is what the current dynamics in terms of the number of seats post-delimitation exercise look like. Now let's just take a quick look at Jammu and Kashmir's top political players. Now this is how the political chessboard, the big players that we're going to be seeing this election. Of course, Farooq Abdullah, Omar Abdullah of the NC, former chief ministers, both of them. Abdullah family ruled Jammu and Kashmir over many stints since 1948. The party has presence both in Kashmir and the Jammu division. Now, the other party, PDP, Mehbooba Mufti, chief minister from 2016 to 2018 in alliance with the BJP. Now, this was, of course, right before the abrogation of Article 370 and before Jammu, Kashmir and Ladakh was split up in union territory. She's been the daughter of Mufti Muhammad Saeed. A party stronghold is, of course, in the Kashmir region where the valley is concerned. Sajjad Lone. Now, the other political player in the Valley, People's Conference, son of Hurriyat leader Abdul Ghani Lone, started as a separatist party, now seen possibly close to the Bharatiya Janata Party. Engineer Rashid, independent MP separatist leader, defeated Omar Abdullah from Baramulla in the Lok Sabha polls, still in jail. Let's move on now to Jammu. Ravinder Raina, Bharatiya Janata Party, the state unit chief, party stronghold in the Jammu region. Vikar Rasool Wani, Congress State Unit Chief, party stronghold in Jammu region. And of course, there's also Ghulam Nabi Azad in midst of all of this. Let's cut across to our guest this evening. This is just how things look where Jammu and Kashmir are concerned. We're also going to touch upon the state of Haryana. We'll cut across to our guest this evening, Ravindra Singh Sharon, senior journalist, who's going to be talking us through on Haryana. We're going to come to him slightly later. Amitabh Tiwari, political analyst, joins us. Sanjay Kumar, co-director, Lok Niti CSDS psephologist. Manoj Joshi, senior journalist. I want to cut across to Manoj Joshi first. Manoj Joshi, Jammu and Kashmir finally seeing elections after 10 years, but it also comes at a time where, of course, the government very keen that elections be held under the banner of Naya Kashmir. However, we've seen a series of terror attacks, especially in the Jammu division. Do you think it's a good time to hold elections?
Well, I don't know if it's a good time, but this time was mandated by the
Supreme Court.
The Supreme Court had made it very clear at the time when they had upheld J&K's upheld the revocation of Article 370, and they had set a deadline of September 30th. So the elections had to take place. As far as terrorism is concerned, what is happening these days is nothing compared to what was happening in 2002. When you had elections as well, or 2008, or even 2014. So I don't think that should be a consideration. I presume that there will be a great deal of security along with the elections. But I think the perspective has to be that elections help to moderate the political climate rather than to accentuate it. So from that point of view, I think it's a very useful thing that the election should be held. Kashmir is in a kind of a limbo, but it's not just that the elections, what happens after the elections is equally important, because there have been structural changes that have been made within the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, which raise questions about the utility of elections at this juncture.
Well, Sanjay Kumar, this marks a big step now in efforts to meet the Supreme Court deadline. Last year, in December, the Supreme Court in a landmark judgment had said that do hold elections by the 30th of September. So it meets that deadline. But if, voting percentage in Jammu and Kashmir in Lok Sabha is anything to go by, then we are at least looking at people wanting to come out and participate in democracy.
There's no doubt about that, because we have only one evidence after abrogation of Article 370 that what is the mood of the people with regard to restoration of democratic processes. 2024 Lok Sabha election is a clear example, and you rightly pointed out that this is an election where people turned out to vote in very large numbers, and we have the Election Commission turnout figures in front of us. A clear indication that people are excited, people are eager to participate in democratic processes. And I have no doubt that the forthcoming elections will witness a very large number of people turning out to vote on the election day.
Amitabh Tiwari, if you put in perspective how the map of Jammu and Kashmir looked like as a state pre-delimitation and now post-delimitation. What do you make of it? Because, the seats have increased in terms from 87 to 90, but there have been a jump for Jammu by 6 seats, one for the Kashmir Valley. Of course, in terms of reserved seats, there are now where the ST, scheduled tribe seats are more. What do you make of the delimitation exercise, post and pre?
See, essentially, we are seeing that 6 seats have increased in the Jammu region, which is predominantly a Hindu-dominated region. But if you see the structure of the J&K Assembly, even now today, if you see all the elections in this century, 2002, 8, and 14, all of them have thrown a hung verdict because it's largely a quadrangular contest. The regional parties are strong in the Kashmir Valley, which even now has 47 seats, and the national parties, Congress and the BJP, strong in Jammu region, which is now the 43 seats. Now, if you see the Lok Sabha elections, the Congress and the National Conference were in alliance, and both the NDA and the India bloc were leading in 36 seats each. The PDP, which was part of the Gupkar alliance but was not part of the India bloc per se suffered losses and it could not even garner 10% vote share. So we have to wait and see whether the India bloc alliance still holds and fructifies. If it fructifies, then it's a triangular contest and the India bloc could hope to win a larger number of seats in the Kashmir Valley. And Congress also is fairly strong, decently strong in the Jammu region. And we've also seen that they've done well against the BJP nationally as well. So they have the momentum there also. But if the alliance does not fructify, then it's back to a quadrangular contest. And even you've shown some new parties have emerged in Kashmir, like Sajjad Loan's party, Jammu and Kashmir Awami party or Apni Haq party or something like that. And there is a clamor for new faces, new perspective, new parties with both heavyweight ex-chief ministers losing in the Lok Sabha elections. So BJP hopes to that the Kashmir seats are split between the regional parties and it could consolidate in the Jammu region. That was the strategy even in 2014. However, it had not worked. So we'll have to see how this delimitation helps the national parties and whether we get a clear mandate from the people of J&K this time or not.
You know, it's interesting because if you just hark back even to the Lok Sabha, at least where the BJP was concerned, it did not contest from any of the 3 seats in the valley. We're going to get back down to that. But let's now, cut across and give you a sense of, if you try to translate what went down in Lok Sabha to the assembly segment. Well, total 90 seats, majority 46. BJP is going to be at 29, the NC at 34, Congress 7, PDP 5, Engineer Rashid 14, People's Conference 1. Now, 2019 Lok Sabha, if you look at Baramulla and Jammu and Kashmir, Engineer Rashid, the independent, who'd won, versus Omar Abdullah, who lost from the NC, versus, of course, Sajjad Loan, who had lost. This is, of course, what went down in Lok Sabha. If you look at the Anantnag, Rajouri seat, Mehbooba Mufti from the PDP had lost to the NC's Mia Altaf Larvi. And Jammu and Kashmir voter turnout, Lok Sabha 2024, well, the 5 seats, like we said, very heartening. In terms of percentage, you can see that massive, increase in percentage, right? From 1996, where it stood at about 47.99%, and you look all the way to 2024, it's a robust, at least for the Valley, Jammu and Kashmir, and for Jammu division, 58.58%. So it's heartening. It's what me and Sanjay Kumar were speaking of. But Manoj, I want to bring you back into this debate. And if you look at now, where each political party is poised, where Jammu and Kashmir is concerned, what's also interesting that, the BJP would be looking to enter the political arena under the banner of Naya Kashmir. There might be clouds of, these terror attacks that we've seen. But that aside, even if you look at Lok Sabha elections, the BJP did not fight on any of the 3 seats in the valley.
Well, you could have definitely the BJP will be hoping that once it contests seats in the valley, it can make some kind of a breakthrough, and after its consolidation in the Jammu area, any kind of a breakthrough in the valley will only be a plus for the BJP. Whereas as far as the National Conference and Congress alliance is concerned, the National Conference did not contest anything in the Jammu area, which it basically left for the Congress. So I think the BJP has thought through its strategy fairly carefully, and also the fact that it has consolidated itself, meaning compared to the past, the BJP performance in the last, in the Lok Sabha assembly segment, the 29 assembly segments they got, was very, very substantial. And I think that building on this by contesting valley seats, the BJP hopes to make a beginning to start with. Mm-hmm. And there's one other factor, the victory of Engineer Rashid. There is a bit of a googly there, because in the sense, does it represent some kind of a subterranean separatist sentiment? The fact that he defeated both Omar Abdullah and Sajjad Loan. So could there be some other third force in the form of independence which can disrupt all these calculations?
All right. Sanjay Kumar, to pull you in, are we looking at least where the Kashmir Valley is concerned, a fight which is going to be left to the regional players?
Certainly, I think Amitabh Tiwari has already mentioned, if you look at the political contest in the Valley region and the Jammu region, traditionally look at Jammu region is the contest between Congress and the BJP. That's likely to happen even in this assembly election. But if you look at the Valley, I think in Valley you have National Conference and then PDP. These are the two very strong regional parties in the Valley. So the likely contest is going to be of two kinds, one in the Valley and one in the Jammu region. And as I mentioned earlier, in the Valley, the contest is between National Conference and the PDP, Congress being a marginal player there. But if you look at the Jammu region, largely the contest between Congress and BJP, and National Conference will be a minor player in the Jammu region.
Amitabh Tiwari, how do you look at whatever, in terms of results or what goes down in Jammu and Kashmir, impact politics on a national level?
See, essentially, there's no government there currently, so it's under president's rule. So whichever party gains is an add-on state to that party in the national kitty. However, there are two things here. One is the holding of successful elections, even though there are some terrorism activities happening in the Jammu region. The holding of free and fair elections will show the world that democracy has been restored, peace has returned to the Valley, and the people have elected their own government. So it will be a plus for the BJP, whether it wins or not. It can claim that it has restored peace in the Valley and has also fulfilled its long-standing promise of abrogation of Article 3. However, if the BJP wins the election or is able to form government in the state, then it is an add-on, is a cherry on the cake for the BJP per se. And if the India bloc is able to form the government, then of course they will try to push the narrative that the momentum is building up against Narendra Modi-led government at the center. The hold of the BJP over the coalition could loosen. The coalition partners could start demanding more, whereas if the BJP does well, then BJP's hold over these allies strengthens further. But it is a combination of not only J&K, but all the 3-4 state results which will determine all these factors.
While even as one of our panelists pointed out that terror was there in 2002, possibly more, 2014 as well. There is a certain set which also says that shall we hold elections under the shadow of these massive terror attacks, strangely where even right now the strategy seems to have changed and more attacks happening in the Jammu division. Are we equipped to do so in terms of, hold this democratic exercise, and that too also in just 3 phases? I just want to take our viewers through in terms of fatalities in Jammu and Kashmir, what it looks like in sheer statistics. Civilians, before the abrogation of Article 370, 224 from 2014 to August 5th, 2019. After Article 370 abrogation, 149, August 5th, 2019 to 2024. Where terrorists are concerned, fatalities before Article 370 abrogation, 1,020. And the figures right there, after the abrogation of Article 370, 767 is the figure. In terms of security forces, before the abrogation of Article 370, that figure stood at 428, and after the abrogation, it stood at 186. Now, this is what it looks like, and clearly, Manoj, I want to bring you back in of what you were saying before. What we've seen in terms of sheer numbers, in rise of voting percentage during the Lok Sabha, even if you look at, the statistics in terms of terror, today we are in a fairly good position to hold this election.
Yeah, there is no doubt about that. As I said, if you could hold the election in 2002, you can hold the elections now. There is no doubt that the election can be held. A large part depends on the decision of the terrorists. Are they going to target election? It's very easy to kill an independent candidate, though each of them get security, but the security is fairly nominal. So it's very easy to disrupt a big public exercise like that. But the issue is whether or not the terrorism is there. The problem is that no matter what however you look at the figures, they still don't look all that good. Meaning you've given
yes.
All said and done, it should be zero.
True. True. You're right.
Ideally, it should be zero. So the fact that incidents are still occurring, and pretty dramatic incidents, meaning just the other day, captain was shot in an encounter. So this is something which indicates that there is still a very large danger.
Mm-hmm.
There is still considerable danger in the valley, not only in the valley, in the Jammu area also now, because we know that in the last 6 months, the Jammu area has been targeted. So what I'm trying to get at is that even though you look at the figures in a relative kind of a sense, the fact is that even if you have 5 or 10, even that is a lot. Because terror, you shoot one person, that induces terror in a whole locality, in a whole area, and creates a kind of an atmosphere, which you cannot ignore.
Well, I just hope we have peaceful polls where Jammu and Kashmir is concerned. Manoj Joshi, appreciate you joining us. Thank you.